let's get back to the focus of our show, issues right here at home. In just 2 weeks, the Oregon State Hospital, which cares for the mentally ill, will begin the first of its monthly early releases of patients. The first group includes 23 people. It has a lot of people concerned. And the county commissioners where the hospital is located in Salem, well, they're more than concerned, they're furious. And that makes this our big story. The folks set to be released were sent to the state hospital so they could be given medication and nutritious food and counseling, all in the hope that they would become capable of aiding and assisting in their own criminal defense. Yes, they all face criminal charges. 17 people in that first group are facing misdemeanor charges, while 6 are charged with felonies. They're supposed to be released back to the counties where they came from to face the criminal charge, but some are questioning whether that will actually even happen. I recently talked with Danielle Bethel. She's the chair of the Marion County Commission. Here's what she's worried about.
That an individual who had committed crimes in Lane County was going to be released in Marion County, and he had refused all services from our health department and was going to walk out the front door and go to one of our most high capacity day use centers, not even a shelter. And he had refused all forms of medical treatment or mental health treatment. And my foundational concern around this is this individual has been in the state hospital for however long, even if it's weeks or months, they have been treated. They're likely on medication. And when they walk out the front door of the hospital, it is likely upon refusal of service, they will not be on medication any longer. And what risk does that pose to the community and also themselves?
The person she's talking about was not part of the early release group, but this is not a hypothetical. This really happened. He was someone at the state hospital on an aid and assist hold, and he is an example of what the leaders in Marion County fear. Here's some more background on this particular case. A judge in Lane County dismissed the criminal case against the man. Because the case was dismissed, the state hospital had no legal authority to hold him. According to the email chain that Commissioner Bethel sent around, the Lane County Sheriff's Office would not send anyone over to pick him up from the state hospital, and his mother, who was a possible ride, said she couldn't do it either. And the state hospital does not drive patients back to their home county, by the way. So, despite the obvious best efforts of the hospital staff, the man did indeed walk out and onto the streets of Salem. Now, imagine that happening statewide as these early releases unfold over the next year, because that's exactly what Marion County Commissioner Bethel worries about.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, so there's a home rule kind of rule within the Oregon Revised Statute for parole and probation, which governs anytime somebody is going to be released from the penitentiary, if they've served a sentence, they're released to their home community, their home county. That home rule does not exist for the Oregon State Hospital. So potentially what could happen is, as you suggested, individuals could from other counties that are being housed currently at the state hospital could just walk out onto the streets of Salem and become a burden of Marion County's health system.
Well, that sort of thing is not supposed to happen, and the leader of the Oregon Health Authority, Patrick Allen, is probably throwing things at his screen right now if he's watching this. He insists that does not happen. But lawmakers from Salem grilled him about this very issue late last week, and in the end, Allen admitted the hospital can do very little to stop that very thing from taking place.
At the end of the day, if someone is no longer under our custody and control because of an aid and assist order, and they're no longer subject to a criminal charge, they have the ability to decide where they want to go, and it's difficult to work around that.
Allen went on to insist in that hearing that placement teams at the state hospital always have some sort of discharge plan for the patients as they're leaving. But State Rep. Raquel Moore Green, a Republican in the Salem area, pressed him further, and it led to the sort of exchange we often do not see at the Oregon legislature.
And I'm reading, if a judge in other parts of the state dismisses a case before the defendant is transported back to their home county as a result of the Mossman decision, they are released from OSH to the streets of Salem.
Oh, that's just not true. Chair knows, Representative Moore Green, we do discharge planning with all of our patients, regardless of the circumstances of our discharge. Nobody walks out the front door of the state hospital into the streets of Salem.
I don't know how to
The
resolve that
case
for you,
is
Rep. Green.
dismissed. The case has
Okay.
been dismissed, Director Allen. The case has been dismissed by the judge. So there's nothing.
But Rep. Green, Chair knows we still do the discharge planning with those patients. We don't simply walk them to the front door and let them out the front door. But again, let me do some more follow up and provide some more formal answer to the committee on what happens with that dismissed case circumstance given the Mossman order. But I would say that we do not release anybody without discharge planning about where they're going to go.
Well, the result of all that is still not clear, although it did produce a letter from the chief judge at the Oregon Supreme Court to other presiding judges around the state. In it, Martha Walters asked the judges who might be thinking of dismissing a case for an aid and assist person who's at the state hospital to please make sure the defendant is returned to your county before doing so. Will that make a difference? I honestly don't know, but we will be watching closely to see how this all plays out. In my opinion, it's possible this will go as planned. Patients will be sent out early as part of the federal requirement, return to the county from which they came, and be able to live in a community-based facility that will help them continue to recover as they deal with the criminal charge against them. I hope that's the way that it works out. But being realistic, I think it's also possible that the whole thing's a nasty train wreck that plays out over the next year, with more people being released early every single month and the pain for communities like Salem and elsewhere affecting not just the patient released, but also the people where they end up living. We shall see.